Okay, are we all here?
Daniel, come get a job. Nobody did this to me right now.
1, 2. I think we're all here. Okay. Okay, I see we've got Gerald and Sarah. And those are the only 2 people I'm seeing on. Am I missing anybody? Okay. Gerald, did you want to make a public comment?
Yes, I'd like to make a public comment and then one comment on agenda number 2, item number 2.
Number 2, and Sarah, would you like to make a public comment?
Yes, I have a public comment, but no comment on the agenda items.
Okay. So that'll be 2 minutes for each public comment and 2 minutes for your agenda items. I need somebody to be my timer. I don't have my phone right in front of me.
I'm here, Catherine. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Okay, I'm sorry. Gerald, you have a public comment.
Okay, can I ask one quick question? Could Jimmy give me a 1-minute warning halfway through?
Yes,
So I
sir.
can kind of time it. Okay. Just let me know.
Go ahead and start.
After watching the January 20th MUD board meeting and the posting on Nextdoor regarding the discussions and votes taken at that January 20th MUD board meeting, it is, in my opinion, and to say the least, misleading, one-sided, and lacking in transparency. It is also my understanding not everyone in the district was allowed to add their comments to the post. That does not seem very fair or democratic, small d. A lot of voices were not heard. Not all the MUD board directors' email addresses were included by the author in the post. A mistake or nefarious. Judgment is in the mind of the beholder. Thus, I suggest the district residents view the video tape of the meeting and judge for themselves how to interpret the discussions that took place at the board meeting. After watching and listening to all the board meetings since November 2020, it is my opinion that some board members spend too much time in the weeds. Also, the discussions too often digress
A minute.
in personal issues and discussions not germane to the topic at hand, including discussions that tend to generate into a game of gotcha for personal gain and for scoring points against other board directors and vendors, but does nothing to run the business of the WCT #1 MUD. Too many discussions and topics seem to be disjointed, unorganized, or lacking purpose or focus. There's too much time spent on box checking and on bureaucratic nonsense. Streamlining one's personal discipline would go a long way to accomplish the business of the MUD and to shortening the director board meetings. If the shoe fits, wear it. Otherwise, leave them in the closet. I'm done for my comments. For that
Okay.
one.
Okay, agenda item 2.
Start.
If there needs to be a lot of explaining for this agenda item. It appears the agenda item will cause the same non-productive discussion that transpired during the January 20th MUD board meeting. I was an internal auditor, bank examiner, credit financial statement analysis for 20 years in my professional career. I have conducted internal audits, operational, financial, bank exams, bank audits, financial statement analysis that require rigorous standards, processes, protocols, including specialized education and training. There are many corporate and government department staff with many professionals to conduct such operations. Neither the WTC #1 MUD nor its board is a court of law, a CPA firm, or an internal audit department. It's a waste of time if the MUD and its board directors decide to go down this path as a court of law, an internal audit department, or a Spanish Inquisition. This process will expose the WTC #1 MUD to legal consequences, costing the taxpayer lots of money. The
1
board
minute.
has already litigated this subject. In addition, the courts have already given the same propaganda and refuse to take any action on those submissions. The motivation for this 2-year war against Sage appears to be driven by revenge and vindictiveness. There needs to be some formal process to determine if a mutual beneficial review of a WTC1 contractor with regards to their contract and other issues is needed. That process needs to be set up by the board. That review process needs to include all the board members. If it's determined a review is necessary, then the review of the contractor should be done by a neutral party like a CPA firm, because the board does not appear to be qualified or credible to do it itself. A formal mutual benefit report of the contractor's issues by the third party could then be presented to the board of directors at a future board meeting for its review and actions. This would be a fair process. Done. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Sarah, you have 2 minutes for a public comment.
Tonight, I would like to speak about the Andersonville West Neighborhood Association, also known as the AMWNA, or as I call it for simplicity's sake, AMWANA. There is some misunderstanding about what AMWANA is by the people in Andersonville West, and so I wanted to clarify it for the record. While it is often referred to by the people who created it as a neighborhood association, it is by legal definition a nonprofit corporation that is a private business entity. It is not an HOA like Valente Hills, Lakeline Oaks, or Hunters Glen 1. It is not a property owners association by legal definition because it is not mandated in our deed instrument, and there has never been a vote to amend the deed to include it. Participation in this group is completely voluntary and simply like joining any other social organization, like a gardening club. If you look at historical documents, you can see that there has been what appears to be a great deal of time and effort spent trying to legitimize this business entity by making resolutions that imbue it with extra powers it does not legally have. More concerning to me, though, is that neighbors have been led into a misunderstanding that AMWANA is like an HOA. When you list 3 HOAs with a private business entity and then give them each the same power, it's hard not to get confused if you don't pay close attention. This becomes even more risky when you start feeding public funds into this private business entity. Last week, a vote was taken to allocate $8,589 in public funds to AMWANA to pay for its legal expenses by directors Medrano, Frankie, Jones, and Dudo. It should be noted that these legal fees were incurred by several of the directors themselves. If you look at the invoice, you will see Megan Dudo, Beth Jones, and Catherine Frankie's name there, representing and incurring fees in their role with this private business entity. Each of these directors has spent time on its executive committee. So if you strip it back to a base understanding, last week, 3 board directors voted to allocate public funds to a private business entity that they have a personal interest in. That
Time.
raises.
Thank you. Okay, has anybody, I see a couple more people. Usha, did you want to make a public comment?
No, really, but I see the meeting ID was posted wrongly on the site, so that's where I got some confusion. I just want to let you guys know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so, and Jana has popped on too. Jana, did you want to make a public comment?
No, thanks. I'm just here to listen about the audit.
Okay. Okay, well, then with that being said, I am going to close the public comment section of tonight's meeting. And I am going to turn it over, agenda item number 2. I'm going to turn this over to our auditor, and that's Jimmy. Correct?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jimmy Romel with Maxwell Lock and Ritter, and tonight we'll be going over your audit report for your fiscal year ended September 30th, 2020. It may be easier, I guess, for me to share my screen so everyone can follow along. Let me do that. All right, everyone can see that?
Yes.
Okay, so just to let everyone know, we did meet with the audit committee on Monday afternoon and went through the draft report with them for a little over an hour to kind of go through everything in a much greater amount of detail. So tonight we'll kind of go over the report at a little bit of a higher level. And as I'm going through, if you do have questions for me, definitely let me know. So we are issuing a unmodified or clean opinion on your financial statements for your fiscal year ended September 30th, 2020. We'll go ahead and move along in your audit report to the beginning of your financial statements. So this will be your statement of net position and governmental funds balance sheet. So starting with the first column is your general fund. At the end of fiscal year 20, had about $3.2 million of assets, liabilities of about $633,000. And then towards the bottom, you'll see a section for fund balances. At the end of fiscal year 20, you had unassigned fund balance of just under $2 million, and unassigned meaning it's available for general operations of the district. The second column is going to be your debt service fund. At the end of fiscal year 20, had assets of about $229,000, minimal liabilities. So you had an ending fund balance of about $192,000, which is restricted for future principal and interest payments on your outstanding debt. And then just as a reminder on this page, you'll see the adjustments column. This is a financial reporting requirement to bring on your capital assets and long-term liabilities to get to your statement of net position, which is the very far column on the right. And this is presenting your financial statements on a similar consistency with a for-profit type entity. So that's, once again, I don't know if you see this typically throughout the year, but this is a financial reporting requirement as part of your audit process. So moving on to the next page, this is going to be your statement of changes in fund balances for fiscal year 20. Your general fund had expenditures of about $4.2 million, revenues of just over $4.2 million. So you had an increase in your general fund balance of about $62,000 in fiscal year 20. For your debt service fund, expenditures of about $610,000, revenues of about $600,000. So a decrease in your debt service fund balance of about $9,800 during fiscal year 20. Next page is going to be your budget to actual comparison for your.
Yeah, let me stop you real fast.
Sure.
Is in the prior pages, is there one of those lines that tells you what the debt was at the end of the fiscal year?
So the total, if we go back to this page right here, you'll see this long-term liability number.
Okay.
The $345,000 is going to be what amount of principal is due in fiscal year 21.
Okay.
And then the remainder is going to be due, I believe your last bond payment is supposed to be in fiscal year 23.
Okay, so
About 700,000 roughly.
700 total left. Okay, that's what I wanted to know at the high level. Okay, thank you.
So moving back to the budget to actual comparison. For your revenues, you'll see you had a positive surplus of about $157,000, which is primarily due to higher water, wastewater, and garbage revenues than budgeted. On the expenditure side, positive variance of about $333,000. So it's a variety of things. Repairs and maintenance was a little lower than anticipated. Water and garbage collection was lower than anticipated. And that was offset some by your contracted services and your open records request line items being a little higher than budgeted. But overall, a positive budget variance of about $490,000 for fiscal year 20. And then beginning on this page is going to be the notes to the financial statements. So as part of our audit this year, there were no new accounting or auditing standards that were implemented. So a lot of the information in here is going to be consistent with what's been included in your prior audits. So I'm only going to touch on a few things in here. We'll skip ahead. Just to remind the board, so recently issued accounting pronouncement. This one we actually had in your audit report, I believe at least for the last 2 years. It has to do with leasing transactions, which I know you currently don't have a lot of those, or maybe any of those that are significant. But what this will do is that when this becomes effective, essentially you'll have to treat any long-term lease as a financing arrangement and actually reflect the liability on your balance sheet. So currently there's different criteria you have to determine whether or not it ends up on your balance sheet versus if it just ends up as a required disclosure in your footnotes. So this standard was going to be effective for your fiscal year 21 audit, but over this past summer, it was delayed an additional year. So this will now be effective for your fiscal year 22 audit. We don't anticipate this having a huge impact on your financial statements, but we'll definitely work with your consultants as we get a little closer to the implementation date to determine the overall impact it will have on your district.
So let me ask a question here then.
Sure.
When we're talking about leasing, are are there minimum lengths of time that this accounting standard is aimed at?
So
'Cause-
normally if it's less than 12 months and doesn't have any renewal options built in, then this new standard really won't have any impact. It's more for longer term leasing transactions that are done at market. So if you do any leases, I know a lot of governmental entities may lease land, for instance, for like $1.
Okay.
Those
Okay.
would be scoped out because it's not a market value lease.
Okay. Okay, because our leases, if you want to look at it, it's like they're hours at a time.
Right.
So that's what I was trying to understand how this is going to affect
Yeah,
us.
it would be if you lease, like say you leased a building for a year,
Okay.
then
Okay.
that would be something that would be factored into this new standard. So now we'll skip ahead in your report and we'll go to your long-term debt footnote. And so this will break out your 3 remaining bonds and the amounts that are due as of the end of fiscal year 20, which, as we just discussed, about $705,000 of total principal that's due between the 3 bonds that are outstanding. Your series 2005 and 2011, those will actually be paid off in full in fiscal year 21. And then your 2003 bonds are going to be paid off in fiscal year 23. So that's what this schedule here shows, is your overall principal and interest payments on your outstanding debt for the next 3 years. And then on this page right here, footnote number 8, the second paragraph that we included in our report this year is because of the impact of COVID and there still being a lot of uncertainties as far as how that may potentially impact operations or financial information. We're including this as a disclosure just to let the users of the financials know that there still could be some uncertainty around this. We don't know, obviously, what that may be or if there will be anything related to it, but because there is that uncertainty, we're required to add a disclosure in your financial statements this year to note that. And then moving on, so the next part of the report is going to be your required TCEQ supplemental schedules. The information in here, once again, is going to be consistent with what's been provided to the district in the prior audits. So I'm just going to kind of touch on a couple of schedules in this report real quick. We'll skip ahead to your outstanding property taxes. So at the end of fiscal year 20, you'll see that you had about $75,000 of receivables that were allocated to your general fund and about $34,000 of receivables that were allocated to your debt service fund. And then down here at the bottom, you'll see for your last tax levies, you'll see the collection percentage as a percentage of the total levy as of September 30th. So you'll see for your 2019 levy, which is for your 2020 fiscal year, you had collected about 97.1%. So it's a little lower than maybe in the past, but still had pretty solid collections during fiscal year 20. And then the last schedule I was going to cover, because it's always a good schedule to kind of review, is this schedule right here. It will show the last 5 years of information for both your general fund and your debt service funds. You can kind of just see overall from a kind of a trend perspective what your revenues and your expenditures are doing. If there's any specific line item that maybe is fluctuating quite a bit. I know capital outlay is one that can potentially fluctuate a good amount. Same with repairs and maintenance, because those are things that maybe don't stay consistent year over year. But once again, this is just a good schedule to review to kind of just see what the last 5 years of data have shown.
Do you have anything that you specifically want to point out as it's significantly low or high compared to the previous 4 years?
No, not really. I mean, like I said, the revenues have been trending a little higher, but that's primarily due because your property taxes and your assessed values have been going up. So that would make sense. And then on the expenditure fund side, or expenditure side on your general fund, expenditures have been relatively consistent as well. I mean, a slight increase year over year, but nothing that really jumps out over the last 5 years.
Jimmy, can I stop you here for a minute?
Sure.
We talked the other day that these open records requests are legal expenses for open records. And I noticed this is the second screen where it hasn't changed. It's still saying open records requests, and it isn't. Remember, we talked about this. It's not the cost to produce records.
Right, and that's where we put this on the other TCEQ schedule. We did include that in legal. If we go up to
Don't you think
Yes,
it ought to be the same
Well,
throughout?
so as far as financial statement line items,
Mhm.
that's not a decision as your auditor that we are going to make, because that would be assuming a management responsibility. If your district wants to show those amounts within legal, that would be a decision that would have to be made by the board and its consultants as far as how they want to present that on the financials.
And where did you show it? Where did you,
Oh, so back on this schedule, when we had our meeting on Monday, it is up in here in this legal amount on this schedule, because this is the prescribed format on this. So this schedule it's coming straight from TCEQ as far as the different classifications that they want versus your financial statements where you have a little more leeway when it comes to identifying specific line items for expenditures.
So
I
what
don't
I'm
know if you,
go ahead, Beth.
I was just gonna say, is that 148,000 for 1 year for open records requests?
For fiscal year 20, yes.
Wow.
legal expenses?
So what I'm seeing though is as we're looking at this specific page is this is just it's just at a higher level. It's not broken out in the same granular detail. So legal, there's lots of different types of legal. They just want to know what is the big bucket that
Correct.
all flowed into legal.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Transparency, it would be best, I believe, that the financial statement somehow or another work back to this statement. So that if you were looking at that financial statement and you said, well, where did he come up with $366,000 in legal expenses? You should be able to go back to the financials and see exactly where that number came from, in my opinion.
Well, but are you saying that it doesn't?
Well, because if you go down to the, what's that statement where I stopped you, Jimmy?
No,
For
here, I'll move back to it.
the financial statement, it just says open records requests. And literally that money was paid to lawyers. It was not paid to deliver records. It was paid to lawyers. It's legal fees. It's legal expenses. Open records right down there. There it is under
Right.
expenditures. Okay. So it's
Okay.
legal expenses for open records. Because the cost of open records is built into the baseline fee of Infomark. It's an indirect cost. It's not real money. It's already built into their base fee for pulling files. All that $148,000, that all went to lawyers and honestly in this FY that we're looking at here, very few records were released, Catherine, very, very few. That's the cost to not release records.
Well, that's the cost to go through the process of evaluating an open records request.
It's a legal
And yes, exactly. Yeah. I
So it
mean,
needs to be identified that way because when the TCEQ looks at this, I'd hope that they would be comparing it to other districts that don't have these large legal expenses, and maybe that will trigger why. It's just a thought. If Jimmy says it takes a board vote to change your financial records to accurately reflect what was paid, then maybe we need to do a vote on that.
okay, so I'm not,
I think I'm almost certain the account number for open records request is 7310, and that translates in the accounting system as legal expenses for open records. So it really does translate there.
But this isn't where we do that. To take, the time and place to switch financial record.
No, I'm
But
not
thank you.
but,
Yeah,
but,
no, I'm
but
suggesting-
Linda, you just said you just made your own argument that it does fall under a legal expense category in our accounting system, which rolls up into the broad category of legal expense.
Actually, it didn't, Catherine. It didn't on the original pass. And when we met with Jimmy and Punja on Monday, I had him correct it because it did not roll into legal. And you can see how it wouldn't because it's not clearly identified. So you're right, Beth. This isn't the meeting to adjust the financial records, but it is something to consider, that it would be very helpful if these general fund descriptions match the high level TCEQ report. So anyone could look at this and say, oh, I see how they got to that number. That's all I'm suggesting.
Okay, so Jenny,
Okay.
I'm confused because what Linda is saying is the numbers that were in the legal expense column on the other page do not flow from the account, the accounts that are part of the legal expense accounts.
So on your financial statement, so I guess staying with this schedule that we're currently looking at, right now, your base legal expenditures are included in this contracted services financial statement line item. And so this schedule here ties back to the financial statements that we went through earlier. The other schedule that we did correct after meeting with Linda on Monday, those classifications are specifically spelled out by the TCEQ as far as the buckets they want you to show. So we do have plenty of other districts where on the actual face of the financial statements, some account or some expenditures are aggregated into one line item on the face of the financials. But then when you get back to the TCEQ required schedules, there is a little more breakout. But I understand that you definitely want to try to make it as easy as possible for the user to tie information between the financials to these TCEQ supplemental schedules.
Okay, so what I just heard you say is the contracted services line includes other types of legal expense, not just the open records legal expense.
Correct, because the open records, that's everything that flows through that GL account for open records is identified here individually. The 148, 150 for fiscal year 20, that's coming from one GL account, whereas your legal, your, a lot of your other professional fees are all aggregated for presentation purposes in this contracted services line.
Right. I don't think that well, this isn't the place to go on it, but because the contracted services line includes so many other pieces besides legal expense, in order to be able to identify the pieces that added up to the 700 and whatever number we're looking at, you'd have to break out all the specific subcategories of contracted services. Okay, let's move on.
I guess we could put open records requests under contracted services because that's where the rest of legal is. And that amount of money went to lawyers, not to producing records. It went to lawyers. So it is legal fees. I mean, it's another way to look.
But it's still not going to,
It won't get us back to what he's reporting to the TCEQ.
No, and I suspect that there are other situations that are like this, that there are aggregation going on, but then, and then at the other schedule, but it's broken out differently in our financials. Yeah. Okay.
We got it pretty well.
Let's keep moving on. Keep on the agenda, please. I was trying to help.
So that was all I was planning on covering on the actual audit report, but I did want to also communicate, because at the end of the audit process, we are required to communicate to the governing body if we had any difficulties in performing the audit, which we did not. If there were any significant audit adjustments, which we did not have any significant audit adjustments as part of our audit. And then also we noted no material weaknesses in our review of the internal controls over financial reporting for your district.
Do you have any suggestions for improving our process that would help, that would make the audit process better next time and our reporting better, the next time around?
Well, I think for the overall process, I mean, we definitely, so when we're looking at internal controls, we're focusing on kind of some of the key, controls when it comes to approvals of expenditures, of, our bank reconciliations being done for your cash accounts. So anytime we see things that we feel are warranted to communicate to the board, we're definitely going to bring those up. But from an overall audit perspective, I think the biggest thing is, once again, because ultimately these are your financial statements and they're not our financial statements, anything when it comes to presentation, those kind of questions would definitely be best to kind of hash out early on. So ultimately we make sure that, we are reporting things on specific line items that would meet the needs of the users and also the needs of the board when it comes to presenting the final audit report to you.
Okay. Are there any more questions?
Okay, so Catherine, what we would be looking for is a motion to approve the audit and authorize the execution and filing of the annual filing affidavit. That's a page in the audit.
Okay, then
Linda or
I'll
Megan, you should do it.
say that. Oh, yeah,
Linda or
Megan. or-
Megan should do it since they were on the audit committee.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm
Really?
happy to do it, but Bill, could you give me the appropriate language again?
Yeah, well, it would be a motion to approve the audit as presented and to authorize the execution and filing of the annual filing affidavit.
Okay. Motion to, I'm gonna mess this up. Motion to approve the audit as presented and to
Authorize the execution and filing of the annual filing affidavit.
authorize the execution of the annual filing affidavit.
Okay, can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay,
Art did. There you go.
okay, Art is in it. Okay. So what's our deadline? What was our deadline for this?
I think we have another week or so before we hit the deadline for filing.
Oh,
It's
okay,
about mid-February.
okay.
So Catherine, you.
It heard February 12th this year, but yeah.
Okay. So Catherine, I guess you need to call the vote.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah. Okay, I will call the vote. Linda?
I'm going to abstain from voting, Catherine, and I want to go on the record to say that I am going to abstain because I found the audit did not look at the processes for appropriating public funds, and I find those insufficient. So I will not vote on this audit.
Okay, Megan?
Yes.
I vote yes. Beth?
Yes.
Art?
Yes.
Okay. Well, got through that. Okay. So agenda item 3, ad hoc committee reviewing SAGE management. And Megan, you sent me an email on January 22nd about the committee. I would like to read your email unless you would like to read it yourself.
You can, you're welcome to read it.
Okay. So, at the December 20th, at the December 2020 board meeting, the board passed a resolution creating an ad hoc committee comprised of Linda Fobb and Megan Dudo to do a performance review of the SAGE management contract. On January 22nd, I received the following email from Megan. Hi, Catherine. I am writing because I would like to withdraw my participation in the ad hoc committee that was previously established by the board to conduct a performance review of SAGE management. Although I'm not obligated to provide a reason for withdrawing, given the environment we're in, I would like to make it clear that my reasons for this decision are as follows. 1, Director Fobb has made it quite clear she has already reached a rather robust conclusion regarding SAGE performance, in which case the committee and the review process is not only compromised, but somewhat unnecessary. 2, given Director Fobb's actions over the past 48 hours, I not only feel superfluous to her efforts, but also do not trust that as part of the committee, I would have the freedom to act as an individual who may see things differently than Director Faub. It has been made clear that if I decide to oppose her on a decision, she will aggressively use my opinion against me. There cannot be any meaningful collaboration on this if there is no trust and if I'm not able to act as an autonomous individual without fear of retaliation. All in all, Director Faub clearly does not need me to conduct her review and can and has been doing it all on her own, and I do not wish to devote any of my time to it. I can no longer be part of something I do not view to be fair and objective in any way, shape, or form. I have bent over backwards trying to forge a respectful working relationship with Director Faub and originally agreed to serve on the committee with the understanding that my input and participation would be valued and respected. And since it appears that no longer is the arrangement, I need to excuse myself. Bill has informed me that in order to withdraw my involvement, I only need to let you know, and that as the board president, it will be up to you to decide to try to appoint somebody else to the committee, leave Linda on her own with this, or make a motion to dissolve the committee. I am sorry I have already put this on your already very full plate. Well, I'm really must admit, I was very concerned that this was sort of the situation that we were in. And I was really disappointed when it was confirmed by the letter from Megan. So with that said, I am going to dissolve the ad hoc committee that's doing the performance review of SAGE. And I am going to ask that, and I'm going to make another motion, and this is the motion that I'm going to do. I move that the management committee go out and request RFQs so that we can have an independent performance review for the SAGE management contract. And I ask that they come back with some qualified individuals, and then the management committee is going to have to put together a requirements process so that we can actually accept a proposal from a contractor. So that's where I think we need to go, because I do not think that we can we have to, if we're going to do a performance review, they have to be without bias and without prejudice when you're starting. So
I'll second that.
Okay. So does anybody have any more, have any else to add to this motion?
There is discussion, yes. And part of that discussion is your ethics policy, which allows any director to do a performance review of any contractor. And I'm going to exercise my right to finish that review. And the fact that you think it's bias, well, that remains to be seen. If I present to you, as I already have over a year ago, examples and evidence of failed performance, then I'm only going to add to that pile that I've already given you. If there is something that has changed and it's better, I will note that too. But right now, I'm going to exercise my rights with your ethics policy that has been standing in this district, and I'm going to finish that performance review.
Okay, and
that doesn't mean you can't hire somebody else. You certainly can.
Well, what I'm going to ask though then is that you just submit your performance. I'm going to ask Bill that you be the holder of that performance review, because we need to, I really feel that there is a lot of concern that that the result that you're going to present is not going to be reflective of an unbiased process.
Well, Catherine,
So-
we could add that your lack of digging into this when I brought it to your attention a year ago is also bias. We could go both ways with this. You just have to believe that in the end, that the facts will speak for themselves. I can't make up facts, Catherine. I can't make stuff up. It's either there or it isn't there. And Megan, I'm sorry you feel slighted, but we agreed you didn't have time until the end of January or early February. I had more time than you and started early. So it's okay. I don't really need any help to do this. I'm just looking at documented facts, and the facts will speak to what's going on. And I've already brought some of those to your attention, and I brought them to Art's attention a year ago. It's not like it's new information. It isn't. And I cannot control the facts. The facts speak for themselves. So I will finish what I do. And
So we have a motion, the second, and basically the motion is, I'll just recap at a high level, is that the management committee, which is Art and I, are going to reach out and do do a request for qualifications for somebody to handle this review. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and call the vote. Linda?
No.
Megan?
Yes.
I vote yes. Beth?
Yes.
And Art?
Yes.
Okay. So agenda item, minutes from the prior meetings. Okay, so.
You actually, Catherine, you have two sets of minutes.
Yes.
Part one are the December 16 minutes. You'll recall there were a number of changes, so they were not approved. They're being, I guess, they're being resubmitted as revised.
Right.
And part two is the January 11 minutes.
Okay, so on the December 16 minutes, on page 10, there is, let's see, where are we? Come on, page 10. There is something that says Fiverr director requests will be withheld. Okay, so what were we trying to say? It's right
Probably
above
5.
5
And it was a
director
typo.
requests. Okay, I didn't know if that was a misspelling of a name or what. Okay, so it's just a extra R there. Okay. Okay, so does anybody have any other adjustments for these minutes? Okay, well, I make a motion to accept the December 16, 2020 minutes with
Wait, there is one problem in the December 16th minutes. It says I voted yes for the Rocco London Lane dog pond, the inscription. I didn't vote yes.
What item is that?
It's on December 16th minutes.
Is it number
I'm looking at it
3?
over.
I don't have them up on my screen. I have the 11th minutes up. I don't have the 16th.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really concerned that there's several spots where it says I did an affirmative vote where I didn't. And I really do want to look at that closer and listen to the meetings. And that's really, I don't really have the time to listen to 7-hour meetings, but there was another spot too. I'm trying to find it. Oh, it says I voted in the affirmative to start the mainline bidding process. I'm sure I didn't because I'd want to see the RFP before I would vote on that. And I haven't seen that. So
The who bidding process?
I think it's waistline repairs.
Oh, okay. Okay. Mainline. That's what you said. I was like, what are you talking about? Okay.
Mainline repairs.
So Linda, that's on page 3.
I don't have that, those minutes up, Bill. I only have the 11th. I'm trying to read the 11th one real quick.
Okay, so I'll represent to you. It's on page 3 in the middle.
Okay.
And so what you're saying, you did not vote for, that you voted against?
I believe I either did that or I abstained because I wanted to see the RFP first. I believe I asked Herb for the RFP.
Okay. So do we need to bring these back again?
You make those changes, I'd be fine with it.
Okay.
Lee,
So-
can you,
As amended.
Lee, are you on the call?
Yes,
Are you getting these changes where you can make them all?
yes.
Okay, so I guess we could get them approved with those changes if someone wants to make that motion.
Okay.
Can we just have more time to look over them, Bill? Because now that I've seen these things, I literally need to look over them more closely, and I just didn't have the time to do that.
And whatever the board wants to do, we can delay the vote on it. We delayed it last time.
I mean, we don't have minutes posted since we're missing months of minutes out there. So what difference does it make at this point?
Yeah, I'm okay with waiting.
I'm good.
So that would come back on February 17 meeting.
Right, and
Okay. Do you want to go to the other set of minutes, see if we can approve those?
right.
January 11.
Okay, that makes sense. So I'm just looking through those. I've looked through these already once and didn't see anything, but I'm making sure I'm looking and specifically looking at the votes. So we caught Linda's no for the that was part of agenda number 6. And we had Bess abstain because she wasn't part of the process. So, does anybody else have any adjustments they want to make?
Yeah, this one on agenda item 5 on the January 11th minutes. Agenda item 5, I made a motion for the board to allow Bill Flickinger to look over the Sage management letters, and I did not get a second. Doesn't that need to be recorded? The rest of the board?
Yeah, it should be recorded as a motion that was not seconded.
Yeah, it's not there. So
Okay.
that needs to be there. I'd like more time to look at the January 11th minutes against the meeting to make sure that it's accurately reflecting what happened.
Okay, well, we can
do
move.
vote at the next meeting, Catherine?
Yeah, I don't have, that's not a problem, you
I will
know.
look at it real
Yeah.
close.
Okay, so agenda item 5, future board meetings, schedule and scope of agendas. And so, hold on, let me pull up my calendar here. So our next board meeting is a DRC on the 15th. Am I correct?
That's correct. That's a Monday. And we have a draft agenda out there that I ask everybody to look at. I'm trying to limit the number of items. So we sent out a red line if you guys could look at it. The next meeting after that would be the February 17 meeting,
Right.
which we're calling our regular meeting, which is on
Right.
that third Wednesday or second Wednesday. And then the February 24th meeting is our third Wednesday meeting that we're keeping for now. So those will be the 3 meetings coming up.
What are you calling the 24th meeting?
I'm calling it the third Wednesday meeting, but it's a special meeting. It's going to be a standing special meeting. It's
And-
primarily designed for the committees.
That's what I remembered. Can I ask you, Bill, I noticed on the DRC agenda that you sent today that there are still standing items on there, or are people I noticed that some of the HOA spots are still there. Is somebody asking to speak, or are you leaving them as standing items?
Right now, they're standing items. And of course, we'll accept comments on that. What I'll ultimately have to do is ask Catherine if she'll accept the comments. But yes, they're still on there. I don't have specific requests to present right now.
Okay. I just wanted to know because I thought we'd already talked about this, that there would be no standing items.
Yeah, and there's going to be a balance. I mean, I'm willing to do whatever the board wants to do. If we take off all the standing items, it's very likely that someone will show up and want to make a presentation, or one of the board members will want to talk about something that won't be on the agenda. So we
That's
can
just
cut them
Murphy.
back pretty good. We can cut them back, but then we'll have instances where we'll have to say, sorry, we'll have to take it up next month.
Okay, so what's the deadline for this agenda, Bill?
I think we're planning to post that one on Monday.
Okay, so that's really early then. Okay, well, that's fine. So
Well,
Monday.
we tried to post approximately a week before the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Now, legally we have to do it 72 hours, but I don't like cutting it to the last day. So I think we're
But
targeting Monday
it's 72
hours.
just hours, not business hours, right?
Yeah, hours. Yeah, regular
Okay.
hours. Yeah.
Okay. There are some things that I want to discuss with Beth for the DRC that might or might not require an agenda item. So Beth, you and I need to talk tomorrow, okay?
Got it.
Okay. So I don't have anything to add to the DRC agenda. Does anybody else have anything? Because I know that we had things that were not on this meeting, and we're anticipating that they're going to be ready for the 17th.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to do, and again, it's a work in progress.
With Ms. Snopes, you handed her the note.
I'm trying to keep all the DRC items limited to the DRC agenda, so they don't bleed over to your regular meeting.
Right.
The regular meeting, we're trying to limit to the core issues: engineering, infrastructure, manager's report, financial, and then things that are time sensitive, we can add to that agenda. And minutes are okay to put on there, I guess, but we don't want to pile on that agenda because that'll make it a very complicated meeting. So that means the third meeting is always going to be the committee reports and other items that are written. So this may work well. This might be a little awkward at first, but I'm trying not to put regular items on the DRC agenda.
Right. So.
But everybody, let me have your comments, no later than Friday.
Okay.
We'll
Somebody is not muted, I think.
Pardon me?
Somebody that is, yeah, there's back feed.
Okay, so any other things to add to the future agenda? Going once, going twice? Okay, well, let's move on to agenda item 6, adjournment. I need somebody to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move so.
Okay, somebody say second. I second.
Second.
Okay, and I'll say aye. And you guys have a good evening. I will see you guys in a week.
Good couple of weeks, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.